Okay,
What are we doing?
I'm going to start now. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Great. No applause.
In 5, 4.
No, be quiet. You're an ass. Welcome back, everybody, to the Metal and Miniatures podcast, where we take a jack-of-all-trades, master-none approach to podcasting topics.
I'm Josh.
And I'm John, and today our podcast topic is band names.
Yeah.
Don't get a boner, Josh.
Too late.
That might be the alcohol, though.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I think that counteracts it, but either way.
We would also like to acknowledge this is our first time having a studio audience.
But we don't have enough money to give a mic to our person that's
She just gets to sit there.
and observe.
So, welcome, one-person studio audience. Now 7 people will listen to this.
Yep. Now try to keep quiet.
Yeah. Now don't talk for the rest of the time, okay? So band names. Will you tell me why you're so excited about this podcast, this topic?
Well, as the name states, I like metal, and I just love music, you know?
Yeah. Josh is a huge music guy. I mean, I'm not, and it's I think it's obvious with our interaction
by the end of the
other.
podcast. It'll probably be pretty obvious.
Well, definitely. Yep, I agree. Everyone else will know. I've actually had a better appreciation for music since we've been friends. So I think that's an interesting topic, but I'm not necessarily a professional.
Well, I mean,
I'm definitely a master of none in this podcast.
Well, I'm certainly not a master, but hopefully it'll be enlightening for
You're close.
everybody.
You're close, though.
I'm like
Don't be so
80%
modest.
there.
Well, let me start out, because
Okay.
you're going to be doing most of the talking anyway, you jerk.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. So, while researching, and I'm using that term very loosely for this podcast, while doing my in-depth research, I found some criteria that people have used to determine whether or not a band name is good or not. And that was kind of where we started out with this idea for the podcast.
Yeah, so you're starting off with someone else's material.
Yes. Just
Go on.
shut up. Okay, so spin.com, there was an article about whatever top band names and the worst names or whatever. And then they give a criteria. The first thing, that is to consider is whether the name is a good representation of the sound of the band or the theme that the band kind of tries to push. The next one is whether the name looks cool when it's written down or if it has like a cool acronym or something like that. Another thing to consider is whether the name has clever wordplay within the band name.
Yeah.
And then the last criteria is whether or not the name actually creates like an image, like if it projects an image into your mind about the band, right?
Interesting.
So, Guar.
Okay. All right.
So like Guar, I'm not going to say it's whether it's a good name or a bad name.
Okay.
But the name gives it's a good sound for the theme kind of the band, right?
Yeah.
It kind of does look cool when it's written down because it's not a real word.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like different. It's not clever wordplay whatsoever, at least that I know of. And then it does create an image in your head when you say Guar, if you know the band,
Yeah.
So that one has a bunch of these criteria going through. And so I think that spin.com, if they would have, rated this name, they probably would have rated it pretty high.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, the criteria I think is pretty good. With Gore, I think we'll come across this problem with a lot of band names, and it's going to be the issue of is it the band that's created this, image for the name, or is it just this name like when Gore first came out, whatever, the 80s or whatever it was, like when the name was put out, like did that image automatically come across people, or did they see him live and they're like, oh yeah, that fits perfectly?
Yeah, well, I think that obviously a lot of people will take into account how good the band is, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's some really shitty band names out there, but they belong to really good bands.
Yeah.
But at least in this podcast, as far as I know, we're going to try to remove the band from the band name and just kind of focus on whether or not the band names are good or bad in our professional opinion.
Yeah, I like to think of whatever band name I'm going to talk about and then just try to remove myself and think, if I was trying to come up with a band name for my band and someone suggested whatever the band name was, it'd be like, if I would consider like, oh yeah, that's going to do wonders, or if like that's complete shit, you know.
What if you named your band Metal in Miniatures? It'd probably suck.
I'd be like, that's complete shit. Because I'd be like, that doesn't meet any of the criteria. Okay, so I thought it'd be good to start with the evolution of band names.
Okay.
Basically, because I think each era has a certain type of band name or way people came up with band names.
Okay.
For instance, the 60s, the Beatles, obviously.
Right.
I mean, that's really all you need to know about the 60s, but I have more. A lot of bands were the Beatles, the Beach Boys, the Rolling Stones. So I think when they came up with band names in the 60s, it was a lot of, thes, but also I don't think they were that clever in the 60s.
Well, I mean,
for band names.
The Beatles, that is a really crappy band name for such a good band.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
It's not even...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't... If someone suggested now, I don't think it'd be that good, but it was good enough, I guess, for them.
It worked.
Yeah, I guess it worked, but yeah, there's all kinds of... In the Doors. That's terrible. That's a terrible band name. The Doors.
I agree.
Like, because you could put in the, something to associate it with now, because it's a popular band, or was a popular band.
Oh, right.
A lot of them, even when I was looking online, a lot of them, like, you pull up 60 bands and stuff, it's a lot of the Who. That's another one.
Yeah.
But, which I don't think is very good either.
Actually, I think that's a pretty decent
Do
one.
you?
Yeah, just because it's not Who is not a noun necessarily.
Yeah.
Or it's not as obvious of a noun as, like, the Beatles or the Doors or
Well,
whatever.
certainly better than those.
Right? And so,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of trendy, right?
As far as 60 band names go, I would say it's not bad, but as band names as a whole,
Okay.
not very good.
So get us past the 60s.
So 70s, moved away from the kind of got a little bit more clever. A few bands like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, a lot of like two-name type of bands.
Okay.
And I noticed too, I mean, this is a lot of different eras, but a lot of color names like Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Deep Purple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was just someone just kind of started, like Black Sabbath with it, or just kind of just...
You think
color
was
rolling?
You think color was just like a big deal during the 80s?
Well,
or sorry, 70s.
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, there was a lot of them even in the 80s too, but yeah, I think that was part of it.
Well, Led Zeppelin, I don't know if this goes for the rest of what you've kind of found throughout the 70s, but like Led Zeppelin, that's actually that's a cool concept, like a Zeppelin made out of lead, but they didn't spell it right.
Well,
so it was like a play, it was a play on, it was a word play.
It was a word play. The way they came up with it, someone like a review said they'd sync like a Led Zeppelin, and they're like, okay, we'll run with it.
But then they just spelled it wrong.
Yeah, well, they weren't very good spellers.
Never got out of high school.
Yeah.
Most bands don't.
Yeah.
Hey, what about Black Sabbath? I know you're a fan of Ozzy.
Yeah, I think it's a great name.
You know why? You and I like those darker names because you and I think that really conjures up some really cool imagery and stuff.
Yep, and I think Black Sabbath, that's one of my favorite band names.
I think it's really good.
That one, just because no one else had really done that dark of stuff before, and that one came off of Boris Karloff movie. And
You're talking way over my head.
Well, it's a horror movie.
Oh, okay, I'll believe you.
No, I think that one's a really good name.
Okay.
And then the 80s, it kind of gets hard now because kind of veer off into a lot more genres and things like that.
I think that actually band names will, and maybe it's because I already know the music that certain bands create, but I think that the genre of music that the band plays has a lot to do with the band name that they end up choosing.
Yep, that's what I was just gonna say with the 80s, especially because you have like the heavier stuff.
Yeah,
Metallica, Judas Priest, things like that have a certain type of name that when you hear like, oh, that's a heavy metal band.
It would be interesting if there would be a way for us to test. Because obviously we're coming at this with a bias, right? We know that Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and all those. It'd be fun to kind of go through and test your knowledge on like bands you don't know.
Yeah, see what
and they
kind of...
give you the band name and see whether or not you can guess what kind of genre of music they play.
Yeah, I guess that's true because there's the glam rock bands in the 80s, and so I don't know, like
Steel Panther.
Well, they're not the 80s, but
I know.
Like Cinderella was an 80s band, and so you hear that, and it just, to me, it screams glamorous metal.
But you'd never guess
Well,
that.
yeah, I
You would
don't,
n- if
I don't
someone
think I
na-
would. I don't think I would.
If
Yeah.
someone told you that they're naming their band Cinderella, you would say you're joking.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even think that they had
Yeah.
a genre.
No, and they're like, "Just- seriously, and we're beautiful. We wear makeup.
How about if someone came to you and said, "My band name is Kiss." See, you think
It's so yeah. I would
sounds
think
like-
it was lame. I would think it was lame.
it sounds like a romantic movie title.
But if they added, honestly, I don't even know if this is true or not. But like Kiss, it supposedly is like Night in Satan's Service.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I know. I don't know
You want to know why that's bullshit?
why.
Because that's a stupid rumor. Some evangelical Christian mom came up because she didn't like her son listening.
And you
to
know
it.
what though? It helped the band.
Right. Exactly.
So either way,
bad publicity is good for rock bands, and so yeah, that's bullshit.
no. I
We're
mean,
call-
I don't think I believe it either.
We're
But
calling Gene Simmons right now.
yeah,
Well, he's probably going to charge us for using the band's name anyway.
yeah. That's so much crap for Kiss. Kiss lunchboxes.
Kiss blow up dolls.
I would just say Kiss Barbie dolls.
Well, that's a little bit different.
Well, I played with those.
Well, I play. Never mind.
You played with the blow dolls.
Okay, get us to the. Are we in the '90s yet? Hit us up with the '90s, bro.
So I didn't really have much for the '90s because it almost gets so chaotic to the '90s. There's so many bands, but then I thought about this tonight. That's kind of when a lot of bands started kind of that's probably not when they started, but a lot of bands do it. They would play with the wording and stuff and misspell names like Korns. They had like K and a backwards R, and then Linkin Park came along and
Oh, yeah.
it's bands are still doing that. Mudvayne. So I don't know if there was a particular way they named their band, but they would name it. They could even name it something that sucked, and then they would just kind of put a backwards E in there, and it would be okay.
So, again, in my research
Mhm.
that I conducted for this podcast, I noticed that a lot of the bands, or at least not a lot, but lots of popular bands during the mid '90s to the 2000s, the early
Mhm.
2000s, started using numbers in their name. So you got like Blink-182, Maroon 5, Sum 41, 30 Seconds to Mars, Three Doors Down. You have all these different bands,
Yeah.
right, that start using numbers. Eve 6, Matchbox 20, Third Eye Blind, 3 Days Grace. And you have U2, about in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
In like the early 80s. And so they're earlier, but you have all these, you have 311.
Yeah, I didn't
you
think
have,
about those.
50 Cent, That's an artist, not a band. But I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like numbers became play inside the band name.
That's interesting. So it went from colors to numbers.
And then those.
And,
No.
Well,
It
those
was
to
those to
colors to numbers.
you missed the 70s, bro.
Yeah, but they were so
They're so
high
bad.
on drugs. They didn't even know what they were naming their bands.
That was their theme in their band names,
Yeah.
being high. Okay, yeah. So the '90s.
There's so many weird band names and stuff that as time goes on. I mean, I guess they're weird even in the '60s, but they just kind of there's just so many band names. It's hard to even kind of put them in a category. That's why I didn't put too much as far as the '90s and on.
Okay, this is what I was gonna actually say. So now that we're up to the '90s, we're basically to the aughts,
Yeah.
which is close enough to current, I suppose.
Yeah.
But and again, I don't know music history, and I know we're talking about bands, not artists, but it almost seems like there's a trend that pushes because pop music is kind of in
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
Pop music really pushes artists rather than bands. You have this huge following for people like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Nick Lachey, Jason Mraz, John Mayer,
Yeah.
Lady Gaga, Katy Perry. You have all these people that since the kind of the late '90s up into the 2000s and now, where because the pop music, kind of lends itself to more artists rather than bands. It's almost like artist names is almost as good as band names now.
Yeah. I wonder if people are like more harsh on like a band name, like coming up with a band name than an artist name. Just for the fact that there's like obviously Lady Gaga isn't her name, but
Well, that's true.
But
That's true.
it almost seems like they could really be named anything. But like me, in my opinion, you hear a band name, whatever, and I'm a harsh critic when it comes to a band name. But like an artist, typically that's their name.
So it's like that sucks.
Yeah, like that sucks. But I mean,
Why in the hell would you choose Jason Mraz as your band name, you ass?
if that is your real name,
I bet you were born in Kenya. Okay, how about this? You ready to start fighting over what band names are good
yeah,
and bad?
I'm ready.
We're deep enough into the podcast.
Yeah, we're so deep. We're ready to do. We're ready to do it.
Okay, we can just kind of go back and
Okay,
forth.
yeah.
Is that
All right.
that cool?
Yeah,
with you?
I think that's a good idea.
I'll start.
Okay.
The Beatles.
Well, we kind of said it before, but I really don't think it's that good of a name. I know. I just talked to my brother before this. And I know the word is that it came to John Lennon like in a dream or something, and he's like the Beatles. But I was like, but even if that story's okay, it's just not that good of a name.
I don't care how mystical his story is; it still sucks.
But
as a band name.
it's so hard for me to even say that because it's the Beatles.
Okay, move on. We both think that it sucks.
Okay, how about this? And this is it was a band originally, but Marilyn Manson.
That one's pretty good because I actually don't know how they came up with the name, right? But for me, it's Marilyn Monroe and
Charles Manson. Yep, that's how they came up with it. It was like Marilyn Manson, and
it brings two different kind of genres in pop culture kind of together.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of good.
I do like that one a lot actually.
Okay, how about this one? Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No good.
I agree.
No, it's
not a good band name.
Bad name. Like, if that came up in band practice, I'm like, how about Red Hot Chili Peppers? And first of all,
I'd be like, dude.
Chili peppers are gross.
Oh yeah, we could,
especially red hot ones.
We could do a whole podcast on your distaste for vegetables.
So that would just be out the door. So I don't know if I'm jaded on that, but either way, it sucks.
No, I don't think it's that good.
How about Slayer?
I have that one down.
Do you?
Yeah. So if I'm using the criteria that we mentioned at the beginning, I think Slayer's actually a pretty good band name.
Yeah, it really puts even without knowing the band, it puts a picture. It's just like, it's simple, but it's evil sounding.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if Backstreet Boys chose Slayer instead, I don't think it would have worked, right?
No.
But Slayer, I think, is pretty good, especially for the genre.
Backstreet Boys. Terrible.
Okay. Well, we know how you feel on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one. Coldplay.
I don't love it.
I think it's perfectly average for a band name.
But I think that's the problem though, is they happen to make it decently big, but Coldplay, if I heard that, it wouldn't really open up to want to go see that show. Like, oh, Coldplay,
Okay.
I don't think I'd look into it more. How about...
Oh, I don't... Yeah. Never mind. Sorry.
How about...
I want to give my opinion twice.
Here's one that... and I'm going to do some that people haven't heard of probably too, but Parlotones.
I don't even know what to think about that one.
I really don't.
I don't know what's the wordplay on that one. So it sucks.
It's something to do with music stuff.
Is this what someone said when Metallica first came out? Like, what's that even supposed to be?
Well,
right?
probably. Parlotones. Actually, I did that one because my wife wanted to have a band name in there, and so she loves the Parlotones.
Oh, I thought you said that's your wife's band.
No.
Your band sucks.
She currently does not have a band. Yeah, I don't know, because Metallica, the same thing with Metallica though with Parlotones is it's kind of good because it's a made up word, which I think actually is pretty cool with the band.
Oh, I'm not a big fan of it. I could have said the same thing about Metallica back in the day.
Yeah, Yeah, I actually
because I don't get the wordplay necessarily right now.
Yeah, well, Metallica, I think it just has metal in the name, so that kind of helps it for, for the metal genre.
All right, so how about this one? The Jackson 5.
When you were saying numbers, I was going to say Jackson 5.
Yeah.
But, it's the number of people in the band. Yeah. So, I don't think it's a good band name, but it definitely gets to the point.
I think it's good.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's a play on, they're all from the same family, right? And then I think it's just kind of fun to say.
Is it a play on anything, though? Because they're Jacksons and there's 5 of them?
Well, they could say the Jackson family with 5 band members.
Well, I guess it is a shortened version of that, huh?
Oh, so now it sucks, I guess. Okay, your next one.
Okay.
Go.
How about Animals as Leaders?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I do like that one a lot.
That reminds me of Animal Farm from George Orwell.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what popped into my head when you said that.
Yeah, actually, that does do the trick. But yeah, I think that one's kind of grabs the attention. Maybe you'd want to look into it a little bit more if you heard that one. So I think that one's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
Okay, how about this one? Dashboard Confessional.
I don't like it at all.
You don't?
No.
Come on.
No.
It's even kind of playing on the religious themes that you love in band names. Come on.
I do like religious themed, but I mean, it's all over metal. But I don't know.
And Dashboard Confessional is not metal. For those who are listening who don't know.
Can you sell me on it?
I tried. I think I just gave my best. I just did my best. I think that it has.
You name the name.
No, meaning that like it's kind of playing on that on those religious tones.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of trivializing them by saying like you're doing it by the dashboard. You're not doing it through the confessional booth or whatever.
It's definitely way better than a lot of band names.
Okay.
But
it's not jumping at you.
Yeah, I just think like if it came up in practice where I'd be like, yeah, it's okay. How about Well Strung?
Well Strung?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing that popped into my head was Well Hung.
What?
So I don't know what that says about
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Me. That one's okay, I guess. Like, okay, like that one is too obviously musically too obvious because it's musical, right? Like Well Strung is like you're stringing your instrument, right?
Right.
So, I mean, come on, like branch out a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does the trick of what it's trying to do, but I don't think it's. I don't know if they would get very popular with that band name. So,
okay, I got one for you. Hoobastank.
That is such a bad band name.
Someone must have been drunk when they talked about that band name.
I mean, it got popular-ish, but I mean,
yeah, kind of.
It makes you wonder with some of these band names if they had a different band name, would have they been more popular? No, they wouldn't have.
I'm gonna whisper it.
I think the music matches the name.
Okay, give me one more, and then I have one more for you. Well, actually, I have 1,000, but we'll just do one more.
Okay.
One more from each of us.
Let's do Johnny Panic and the Bible of Dreams.
I actually like that one.
I knew you would.
That's funny because I like Panic at the Disco, right?
Oh yeah,
and I think that's actually a really good band name. And Johnny Panic and the Bible of Dreams. That's it's fun, it's catchy. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I had a list of all these actual band names. Like
are you making that shit up?
No. These are real band names.
Okay.
But I'm like I should say popular band names. But I'm like these ones would be better because some of them are pretty clever.
Okay, I'll throw one more out there. Long pause for effect. I can't decide which one I want to give to you. Imagine Dragons.
I knew you'd go there. I actually like that one. I think hearing that one, even before I heard the music and stuff, I actually did hear the name, and it did catch my attention. I don't even know really why that one did. Maybe because I just heard Dragon, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, I actually like that one too. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
You got anything else for us? We could go all night about
we just go back and forth. I guess just a few questions. How much do you think people really care about the band name?
None.
You don't think so?
Well, I think that just kind of like you said, a band name might catch your attention.
Yeah.
But really what it boils down to is once you hear the song, is it something that you like?
Yeah. I mean, I would half agree. Although if I heard a band name, like if I was going to a show or if I was thinking about going to a show, I'd be like, well, who else is playing? I'd be like, well, that band name kind of sucks. Like, if they can't think of that good of a band name, then how good is their music going to be?
I honestly don't think you're that shallow in judging a band on just their band name, especially you. Because, for instance, if you go to a concert where Metallica is playing, for instance, obviously people that are going to be doing the show with Metallica are going to be similar in their genre. So you're going to listen to the music. You'd say that band name is ridiculous, but you would never say they suck because of that band name.
Yeah, well, I'd never say that. I'd definitely try to give them a chance, but I guess more like local shows and stuff. You see it on the marquee,
the playbill,
and you're like, oh, looks terrible. There's a band I saw was like on the marquee, it's Snot. I am definitely not going to that show.
If it was like Snot, but then like on the playbill, it had a bunch of flames and Skulls, you would love it. You'd be like, I'll go to the show, but that's a stupid band name.
Yeah. And actually,
there's more things that matter to you in music than the band name. I think that the band name is just completely trivial and secondary to everything that.
Yes, I mean it is all about the music, but I think a good start is the band name.
All of that coming, by the way, everyone, all of that coming from a non-musician.
Yeah, that's pretty wise for a
Thank you.
musician.
I just wanted to get that plug in so that I'm not some dummy trying to comment on stuff I don't know about.
Well, good job.
Well, now I'm feeling worse about it.
Before we go, though, I did find some names that I wanted to just list them off, just to throw out to you and people just to hear. This is where Well Strung came from, and I just want your reaction. Yeah, I'm just gonna list them off, all of them. You don't have to say anything about them. But we got the Urinals, Van Gogh's Ear, Butthole Surfers.
Hey, I actually have that one down on my list.
Have what?
Butthole Surfers.
Because I told you about him.
Well, yeah, but we were talking about it. I thought it was hilarious.
And then Not Now, I'm Naked. Jodie Foster's Army.
I like the second to last one. Not Now, I'm Naked.
Not Now, I'm Naked.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, that would draw a crowd.
Yeah, I suppose.
And
it's all, like, to me that sounds a lot like Panic at the Disco. You know, it actually tells like
kind
the
of
band.
a statement.
The band name tells a story almost.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, anyways, I found a site that had a bunch of just random band names. I was like, wow, I don't think these bands are going anywhere, but I've got some catchy band names.
Butthole Surfers is a good one too.
Butthole Surfers. They did go somewhere though. I've seen them on marquees before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yep.
So I think we're good. This was kind of a fun topic for me.
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, and if anybody has any other band names that like to throw out there, and we'll give them a look and give them our professional opinion on them.
Yeah, we'll give them our stamp
We'll
of
say
approval.
we'll say if they're going to make it or not. And
We'll say, sorry, Butthole Surfers, you're not going to go any further.
Oh yeah, and before we depart, I did want to bring up one thing.
Oh, are you going to bring up the Rush thing?
I'm
We're
gonna bring
already
up the Rush
past
thing.
the time,
That's
bro.
okay. That's okay.
Okay, do it.
Rush is a really popular band.
Yeah.
And some of us have never heard of these really popular songs.
Yeah, it's me. I don't know why. I don't know why it surprises you. Listen, I've never claimed to have been like someone who knows about the music industry, but you making fun of me for not knowing Rush is like, it comes right back at you when I ask you about songs that people in the 90s and early 2000s played, and you have no idea who those bands or their songs are.
I've heard them before, though.
And your excuse, but you don't know what they're called.
Yeah, but I've listened to the song and be like, yeah,
And
I recognize that.
your excuse is they all sound alike.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say about every single metal album that you ask me about. And I could say they all sound alike and they're stupid and whatever. But
that hurts.
Well, accept the truth, you know? I'm willing to accept that I don't know the Rush thing. And you just need to accept that me not knowing the Rush thing is the exact same thing as you not knowing thousands of bands. Not thousands. That was a super exaggeration.
Like 10 bands.
10 bands that were actually popular during our time. Like when you were in high school,
but
and you still didn't know them, that's even more pathetic.
No. I think the difference is,
if I gave you a band name from the 20s that was super popular, and I said, what the f*** is the matter with you? You don't know a band name in the 20s? No. They were the most popular band out there. They're like the Beatles of the 20s. And you'd say, well, it's not during my time. I don't know shit about that. That's my excuse for not knowing Rush. But your excuse for not knowing the band names from your particular time is what? Hey, nothing. Exactly. Case closed.
The point is...
End point.
I love to see you get all heated. The point is, I have heard of most of those songs. I played Rush for you. You had no idea what it was. You've never heard the song, which is fine. I just like to see everybody I tell that you haven't heard of like a Rush song. Mm-hmm. I just love to see their face crinkle in confusion. That's all.
I think that it's not okay. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep bringing it up. But I think it really bothers you that I didn't know Rush.
Yeah, a little bit, but I guess it's more confusion.
It would bother you more if I didn't know Metallica.
That's absolutely true.
Because it's during my time.
That's true. Well, Rush is still alive.
Yeah, but when's the last time they had a popular song out on the radio?
Yesterday.
We're ending this.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate everyone listening. Please tune in for our next episode, probably within week and a half, 2 weeks, or something like that. We're trying to pump these out because it's a lot of fun for us. So give us some. If you guys like what you're listening to, give us some feedback either on our Facebook page or on our YouTube
channel.
Yeah,
feedback. Yeah, sure.
And
suggestions, whatever.
Yeah, we love suggestions and criticism. So anyway, thanks again, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.